down. Why don't you make yourself comfortable? You know, it's part of my job to keep the public informed as to what this office is doing. So this time I'm going to tell you about the case of the man who wasn't there. Or at least as much as I know about the case. There's still a lot to be filled in. This man goes by half a dozen different names. Which one, if any, is his real name, I'm not quite sure. But he's generally known as Prince Zerny. He has quite a record. He's arrested 4 times, to my knowledge. Always managed to have an alibi. He was never convicted. He combines crystal gazing with blackmail and occasional robbery. It was in connection with a robbery that I first met him. I called at his apartment with Miss Kelly, my secretary.
By appointment only. How exclusive. Do we have an appointment?
I'm sorry, Prince Zerny is not receiving today.
I think you'll receive us. Well, Danny.
Oh, hello, Mr. Allen. Come on in.
I've been wondering what happened to you, Danny, since your parole. But that outfit.
Well, it's a living.
Incidentally, Danny, what do you know about the Winfield robbery?
I don't know anything, Mr. Allen. I'm operating strictly on the level. I'm tired of doing time.
I'm glad to hear that, Danny. You're a young fellow, and you've got a chance to make something of yourself. But tying up with a man like Zerny...
Oh, you've got Zerny all wrong, Mr. Allen. Oh, I ain't saying I go for this occult stuff, generally speaking, but Zerny's different. He's no phony. He's really got something. Some sort of a power. I'll tell him you're here.
Who's he?
Danny Watson. He's a youngster that got a bad start, and I'm afraid is heading for the same kind of finish.
You are Stephen Allen. You are Patricia Kelly.
And you're under arrest.
Yes, I know. Whenever the police require a victim, I'm immediately thought of. Well, what are the charges this time?
I think you'll find everything in there.
I don't quite understand this.
Oh, it's quite simple. Mrs. Winfield, one of your, shall we say, disciples, has missed some jewelry.
No doubt. She's an extremely careless woman.
It was stolen from the Winfield apartment on the night of September 4th. She claims she told you where they were hidden.
That doesn't prove anything.
No, but this does. You dropped it in the apartment. Do you recognize it? It's a floor plan of the Winfield living room.
Prince Zerny, Atherton Apartments, Suite B, City.
It appears to be addressed to you. Why?
The usual crude police frame-up.
Mr. Zerny, I came here for the purpose of breaking one of my own rules. Ordinarily, I don't make deals, but this is an exception. Mr. Winfield wants to keep this case out of court. Doesn't want his wife mixed up in it. And I can understand his feelings. So if you'll just return the jewels, I'll postpone action for a couple of weeks. That should give you a chance to get out of town.
You're very naive, Mr. Prosecutor. You have a warrant for my arrest. Why don't you take me along?
Look, Zerny, you've been very lucky in the past. But this time it's going to be different. I'm handling this case myself.
Excellent. Then we'll meet again. Shall we go now?
Yes, this time we had Zerny right where we wanted him. An airtight case. My only regret was that I had to involve Mrs. Winfield in it, but then that couldn't be helped. And then in court, I got quite a surprise. Joseph Metcalf, Zerny's defense counsel, did something that I hadn't anticipated. He put Zerny himself on the stand.
My very good friend, the public prosecutor, with his customary brilliance, has definitely established the fact that the robbery took place on September the 4th, between the hours of 9 and 11:30 p.m. Prince Zerny, where were you at that time?
I was 350 miles from here at Grant's Cove. I arrived about 7 o'clock in the evening, checked into the Cove Hotel, had dinner in the dining room, and then chatted for an hour with Mr. Prinny. He's an old friend of mine, the owner of the hotel.
What time was it when you finished your talk with Mr. Prinny?
Oh, about 10 o'clock.
Then what did you do?
Oh, took a stroll through the village and dropped into the drugstore.
Whom did you see at the drugstore?
The proprietor, Ralph Combs.
Do you recognize Mr. Prinny or Mr. Coombs here in the courtroom?
Oh, yes. There's Mr. Prinny, and there's Mr. Coombs.
It was an unshakable story. But later, when Prinny and Coombs were put on the stand, they proved to be thoroughly honest and reliable witnesses. So, once again, Zerny had a perfect alibi. After less than a quarter of an hour, the jury brought in a verdict of acquittal. But just the same, there was something strange about the whole affair. And then about 3 months later, in the last evening, as a matter of fact, the police were again looking for Mr. Zerny, this time on suspicion of murder. Before I arrived at police headquarters, Lieutenant Evans had questioned Danny Watson.
All right. So you didn't know that Mrs. Turner had been strangled in Zerny's apartment tonight around 6:30 or 7 o'clock? You didn't know that?
No, not until the cops picked me up.
Okay. What time did you leave Zerny's apartment?
I already told you once, 6 o'clock.
Was he there when you left?
Nobody was there.
Hello. Yeah, put him on. Yeah, Sergeant. What? Well, when did Metcalf tell you that? Uh-huh. No, we'll pick him up when we want him. Yeah, thanks. So you left Zerny's apartment at 6 o'clock tonight, huh?
Oh, yeah, why?
Because Metcalf says he went to the apartment about 6:45 tonight. And he passed you coming out of the elevator just as he got in.
He's lying. It ain't so. Metcalf's trying to cover for Zerny by putting this thing on me.
Now, sit down.
You won't get away with it. I'll kill that guy.
Oh, what have you found out so far?
We might have the murderer right here. According to Metcalf.
Metcalf's trying to pin this thing on me.
Oh, but with your nice, clean record, he won't have a chance, will he? All right. Who did kill Mrs. Turner? What's your idea?
Zerny killed her. He was blackmailing her.
But she was killed at 6:30 tonight. And you just got through telling me that Zerny left the apartment this afternoon and didn't come back.
Well, he could have come back. I mean, after I left.
Huh? You've got a story to fit everything, haven't you?
Oh, wait a minute, Lieutenant. Let's start at the beginning.
All right. Metcalf went to Zerny's apartment house tonight a little before 7. He pushed a button for the elevator. It's one of those self-operating things.
Yeah, I know. I've been there.
Well, anyway, when the elevator stopped, Watson here got out. Metcalf went on up. He found the door to Zerny's apartment wide open, so he walked in. He found Mrs. Turner. She'd been strangled.
Who notified the police?
Metcalf did. He phoned right from the apartment. He was there when the police got there. There'd been some kind of a struggle.
Metcalf discovered the murder, huh?
Yeah.
You know, I wonder if... No. He thinks too much of his own skin to get involved in a murder rap. Danny, what did Metcalf say to you when he met you at the elevator?
I didn't see him. If he says he met me, he's trying to cover up something.
What about this blackmail business?
I don't know. I don't remember.
That's a great memory. You can turn it on and turn it off.
Danny, you're in kind of a tough spot. Because if it's true that Metcalf saw you...
It's a lie. I left there at 6 o'clock. I'm telling you the truth, Mr. Allen.
All right, Danny, that'll be all for now. But be around in case we need you.
That guy, with a record as long
Yeah,
as...
I know all about his record. But this time I think he's talking straight.
All right. That leaves Metcalf and Zerny. It's just like you say. Metcalf's too smart to get mixed up in a murder, and Zerny's going to have an alibi.
Yes, every time anything happens, Mr. Zerny is somewhere else. He's never there. Oh, by the way, when you phoned, you mentioned a letter.
Yeah. It was a postcard addressed to Zerny. We found it in his apartment.
Phoned you a dozen times today, but no answer. It'll have to be tomorrow evening, Thursday, at 6:30 instead of 8 o'clock.
Well, at least Zerny had an appointment with somebody at 6:30.
Well, so far we've got nothing to go on except our boyish enthusiasm.
Mm-hmm.
What do you say we take a look at that apartment?
Good idea.
You boys finished in here?
Yeah, there wasn't too much to look at.
They find any fingerprints on this thing?
Sure, hundreds of them. Everybody's.
Thus far, Lieutenant Evans, I see a very dark future for both of us. As far as this case is concerned.
You know, it is funny at that. Grown-up people going for a fake like that.
Ah, but is it a fake? Danny Watson says this fellow Zerny is on the level, that he really has supernatural powers.
If you ask me, Danny Watson's the guy with the supernatural powers. Hey, Zerny.
Well, good evening, gentlemen. Would it be proper for me to ask who you are and what you're doing here?
That's the switch. He's asking us. I'm Lieutenant Evans of the Homicide Division. This is Mr. Allen. I think you two have met before. Where were you at 6:30 tonight?
6:30?
Yeah.
Well, I've been out of the city since early this morning. I've just returned.
What about your appointment with Mrs. Turner?
Point. I had no appointment with Mrs. Turner.
Let him see the postcard.
Phoned you a dozen times today, but no answer. We'll have to be tomorrow evening, Thursday, at 6:30 instead of 8 o'clock. I know nothing whatever about this.
This card was delivered to you yesterday. You read it, crumbled it up, and threw it in the wastebasket.
The police found it there this morning.
Zerny, you're under arrest on suspicion of murder.
So you suspect me of killing this Mrs. Turner?
Could be.
Stay just where you are, gentlemen. I wouldn't move if I were you.
And so the man was dead. It was almost midnight before I returned here and found my secretary, Miss Kelly, waiting for me.
Well, at last, I've checked every place in town looking for you, except the morgue.
Well, that's where I've been.
Well, Joe Metcalf has been phoning you frantically all evening.
Oh, what's he want?
I don't know. He sounded excited about something. He's waiting for you at his office now.
Well, he's probably heard that we were looking for Zerny, but that's all over now. I'll call him.
No, don't call. It's something he doesn't want to trust to a phone conversation.
All right, I'll drop you at home after we stop at his office.
Pat!
Metcalf?
Yes. Looks like he's been strangled.
I didn't do it, I tell you. He was dead when I got here.
Here's something, Mr. Allen.
Allen. M-O-S-T, 1432. So Metcalf was dead when you got here, huh? Why did you come here?
I needed a little dough. I thought maybe I could make a touch.
At midnight?
Yeah, and that's the truth, so help me. I saw a light in Joe's window, so I knew he was still here, and I started running up the steps, and Zerny comes running down.
Zerny?
Yeah, Zerny. Zerny killed him.
It does sound reasonable, Mr. Allen. Metcalf has been trying to get you all evening. He sounded very excited about something. Maybe he was going to tell you where Zerny was hiding out.
Maybe he was. You don't know it, Pat, and apparently neither does Danny. But Zerny was shot at 10 o'clock this evening. He's dead. So there's the story to date. If you believe, as Lieutenant Evans does, then Danny killed Metcalf. If you believe Danny, Prince Zerny did the killing. If a man officially dead can commit a murder. I'm hoping to clear up the whole affair. Of course, you may have the answer already, but...
Come on. Sit down right here, Danny. Sorry to be late, Chief.
Well, now that you're here, I think we can release Danny.
We can what?
Let him go. He didn't kill Metcalf.
I don't get it.
Neither did I at first. Took me quite a while to figure out this message we found on Metcalf's telephone pad.
Message?
Guess I forgot to tell you. It's just a hunch.
Allen. M-O-S-T 1432.
That's the way I read it at first. Then I got to thinking. Metcalf must have scribbled this hurriedly. The Allen obviously refers to me, but the rest of it is an abbreviation of what he wanted to tell me. M-O could stand for Mohawk, S-T for street. Mohawk Street, number 1432. I thought maybe it was the address of Zerny's hideout.
Zerny's hideout is the morgue.
Evans, did you ever notice anything unusual about Zerny's eyesight?
Oh?
Well, the first day I met him, he had trouble reading the warrant I served on him. He made out the drawing on the back of the envelope with the greatest difficulty.
What are you trying to prove?
That Danny's telling the truth. That Metcalf was about to tell me Zerny's hideout, so Zerny killed him.
Oh, now, wait a minute, Chief. At the time Metcalf was killed, Zerny was dead. He couldn't possibly have been there.
Yes, I know. Zerny is never there. But let me tell you this. Yes, Miss Kelly.
They're here now.
Good. Ask Officer Carr to bring the man... No, never mind. Send the man in by himself.
Yes, sir.
Man? What man?
Come right in, Mr. Zerny.
Zerny? Well, now, just take it easy. Sit down.
Yes, the man we encountered in the apartment last night wasn't Zerny at all.
What?
I began to suspect as much when he read that postcard so easily. Zerny couldn't have done that because of his bad eyesight. The man you shot was his twin brother.
Twin?
Yes, an identical twin. They worked together. Zerny got all the information, and his brother committed the actual robberies. When the twin was out on a job, Zerny was many miles away, thus establishing an alibi. Except for last evening, when he lost his temper and strangled Mrs. Turner. 2 murders, Mr. Zerny. Mrs. Turner and Joe Metcalf, and this time you won't have an alibi.
No doubt you fancy yourself quite clever.
No, it's not that I'm clever, it's just that you're stupid. All criminals are. All right, Lieutenant, you can take him away now. Takes good eyesight, Mr. Zerny, to throw straight.
I think you look very nice in these, Chief.
Yes, they should be quite becoming to him. The man who took the utmost care never to be where he is supposed to be. Now he winds up exactly where he ought to be. Thanks for being with us. We'll be expecting you the next time a case comes before your public prosecutor.